purpose-built from the ground up. It's a new engine, it's a new chassis, new components, new technology. So we'll get into styling a little bit. So you've got the Dakar Rally Tenere feel, the humanistic package, and then the Yamaha Sports Identity. If you look at the front of it, it kind of has the characteristics of our R1 or our R6. And looking at it from the rear, the lights there, kind of the same thing. So elements with both functionality and aesthetic engineering. So it's really a lot of thought and a lot of research, and of course we do a lot of our testing with racing. So a lot of all of those elements came into the development of this bike. So for 2012, and when this bike arrives, everybody says, well, why is it coming in May? Why do we have to wait so long? Well, number one, it's going to be a 2012. This is a 2011, and this is a UK spec bike. The US spec bike is in final, what do we call it? Final spec, with all of the
product validation.
Thank you, product validation. So the US spec bike is going to look just like this, but there's going to be a few things that it won't have. It will not have the fast flash. It will have miles per hour rather than kilometers, and but it will have the dual mode. So if you go to Canada, you can switch over and know that you're doing 110 kilometers per hour, or whatever it is. And the US model is going to be a little bit more torquey, and it's going to have a little bit deeper throaty sound than this does. It's going to have slightly more, and I didn't say this about tonight, but it's going to have slightly more horsepower. So it's going to have a deeper note than that. That sounds pretty good. The other thing that they told us that's going to happen is that the throttle response is going to be a little bit more crisp, and I'm saying why? Because you get on the thing and it's right there. So, but it's going to come in impact blue, which is what you see here, and then it's going to come in the raven black.
And yeah, the black is faster.
Carry on, we talk about that.
All new, based on the TDM engine, from years ago as far as the parallel twin, but it's basically all new. Twin counterbalancers to dampened vibrations, 4-valve cylinder head, obviously 11-1 compression ratio, 2 spark plugs per cylinder, dry sump lubrication system, but all the engine holds all the oil in it, kind of like our YZs do. 46mm throttle bodies, 12-port injectors, 270-degree crank. You guys have probably heard of the cross-plane crankshaft that the R1 uses and the different firing order. Well, this is similar to that, even though it's a twin, but they're not 180 degrees off, or even like the old XS650s that fire both at the same time. You get basically, if you could slow the thing way, way down on idle speed, you'd hear a thump-thump and then a space, and then thump-thump and a space. And what that does is you get 2 quick power pulses, and then you can let the tire relax to gain traction, then 2 more quick power pulses. That same technology went into the GP500 bikes and 2-strokes when they did the big bang engines and changed up the firing order for traction purposes. It made a huge difference in those. So that's the technology behind this particular engine design on this unit now. So.
And it's all about keeping everything low center of gravity, keeping it compact and narrow. So if you've had the opportunity to swing a leg over, you can feel how narrow the bike is and how low the center of gravity is, and that goes a long ways when you're handling this thing. So
4-valve head, we've gone 2-valve heads to 5-valve heads on the YZs and R1s and R6s. But when you get into EPA regulations, the 4-valve engines burn a lot cleaner. So that's what we went back to with pretty much all of our EFI bikes now are 4-valve design.
And that brings up a question. Somebody here is going to ask, why don't you bring the 660 in? Because it's a 5-valve engine, it's a dirty burning engine, and with the 2012 EPA specs that you've all heard about, we couldn't get that certified. It's not to say that it'll never ever come in, but that's the reason it would cost us a lot to get that thing cleaned up.
So you can see the layout of the spark plug in the cylinder heads, premium fuel, and being 11:1 compression ratio, you guys probably know that lower octane fuel burns faster than premium fuel, and you get detonation from that when you get higher compression. So requirement is premium gas on this model. We're doing that on a lot of the stuff now, requiring premium fuel. So 91, 92 octane. If you were out somewhere going to Alaska or something like that, and all they had was 88, well, you got to put in what you got. But they don't want to give it a steady diet then. So here's some more info on the crank layout. Oil pump driven off the bottom there, and
A whole bunch of other stuff.
yeah.
This is the same thing, same presentation that we showed the press when we introduced this in November. So you're getting the same thing that the press did. A lot of it's technical. If you want to look at it later, I've got it in a sheet by sheet breakdown that you can look at, but we don't want to bore everybody to tears with some of this stuff.
Engine layout, 6-speed transmission, obviously shaft drive, wet clutch, and more compact ring and pinion in the rear. As far as tire changes for you guys who want to know, obviously it's got a center stand, so that makes it a lot easier. But you're going to loosen up one axle clamp on the right side, take the nut off the left side, pull the axle out. The carrier for the disc brake caliper will pivot then up out of the way, and you'll just slide the wheel off the splines and take it out. So it's going to be an easy thing to pull the rear wheel off for tire changes if you need to. Radiator's mounted up on the left side. As you can see in the picture there, it's basically horizontal with the line of light. The fan will pull the heat out and extract the heat away from the rider. On the right side under the bodywork there is electric battery and electronics.
Last night there were a couple of questions for those of you that are familiar with the FJR. The early versions of that had a heat issue. And it was never an issue up here where it's a little bit colder when we're riding, but down in the southwest where it's a little bit warmer, there was a lot of heat that came off the engine. This bike, the question came up last night, is there an issue like that? No. And just what Terry said with the radiator being off to the side and the fan going off sideways there, the heat is dissipated so you don't feel that.
And chassis stuff, steel tube frame, engine is a stressed member, there's no rubber mounts in there, the engine's mounted solid. But with the dual axis counterbalancers, that dampens a lot of the vibes. Subframe is aluminum. Cast aluminum swing arm, and your shaft runs through the center of the left side there. So that's all integrated in. Fully adjustable front forks, inverted forks. You've got adjustable compression and rebound, and preload dampening, 7.5 inches of travel. Rear is also 7.5 inches. No tools required. It has a hydraulic preload adjuster. You can see the big black knob there. It does have
Easily accessible.
yeah, not take anything off. No tools. 6.1 gallon fuel tank. When the low fuel light comes on, you got a gallon left, and what you said you're getting right?
52 miles per gallon right now.
So with 6 gallon tank, you'll have plenty of range there. And as you can see by the tank there, the part up in the top, the airbox is right under that, and the fuel tank is actually mounted way down low. So if you got up there, kind of put your hand around there. So that helps keep the weight centralized. It keeps the weight low, so you get good balance. We published a wet weight on this. What was 572, 575? So that's full of gas, full of oil, all the liquids and everything in it. So how many of you guys are snowmobilers? Okay. I mean, that was a contest of who could claim the least weight by draining every bit of coolant, shock oil out of them, coolant out of them, brake fluid out of them, everything, dry weight.
We had a joke about that. It's the first liar winners. Well, we were first, so we win. But it's 575 with gas and oil and coolant, everything else.
Yeah. spoke wheels, but they're tubeless tires. If you look at the wheel design, you can see that the spoke ends are on the boss and the rib in the center of the wheel. So
It's really kind of cool that you get a chance to come and look at that close up, because it's kind of an innovative type of deal, and it's really, again, goes to Yamaha's off-road heritage and the racing, and all this racing heritage and development goes into every motorcycle like we build.
tires that will come with either Bridgestones or Metzlers, and a 19-inch front, 17-inch rear. Wave rotors on them, single piston rear and 4-piston front. And ABS, the ABS systems are separate front to rear, and it also has a unified brake system. And you guys have probably done a lot of reading on that, how that system works. If you get on the rear brakes, it's only the rear brakes. If you get on both the front and rear at the same time, then they'll be isolated. You'll be controlling each brake separately. If you get on the front brake alone, then it will begin to apply some rear brake force. So the idea behind that was stand up riding, you're riding along, you're going to grab some brake. Well, now you can basically control both front and rear, and it uses the speed sensors along with the ABS system to control that. But getting on the front, then applying some rear, it helps stabilize the bike in under certain conditions. But was it Jimmy Lewis did a test? You want to talk about that? It wasn't an issue. I mean, he didn't have any problem with
Some of the other manufacturers have the ability to turn it off, turn the ABS off. Well, they don't have the linked system to the best of my experience. No. So it's not an issue with this motorcycle. And Jimmy Lewis wrote for Cycle News, Cycle World, rode Paris to Dakar, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times. Quite the off-road accomplished rider. Was kind of skeptical of the system. And Yamaha just recently took him out for a 2-day, 500-mile ride. And he came back and all of his questions were answered, and he was fully accepting of the answer and how the bike performs. So he's a fan of it now. And it was a very good article on, did I send you that article, Lance? It was on Dirt Rider or dirtbike.com, I can't remember, but I'm sure if you Google it, you can go on and see it. Very favorable article. And the press that we've been getting so far has been very favorable as well.
Now, you've probably heard, in fact, I think we were talking earlier, there may be some tricks that you can use to disable that system. But from the factory standpoint,
if you buy it,
we're not going to go down there.
No.
Not more money.
Yeah. If you buy one, I'll tell you how to take it out of the ABS.
Yes.
Is it possible that Jansen has that on his certified right now?
Is that just for real hardcore dirt handling where you might slide?
Well, that's a different deal. We haven't got some traction control yet. But if you go to Seattle race, you go down to the pits, look around for wheel sensors. That's how the traction control and ABS systems are running. As far as comfort items, the windshield on there is a stock windshield. It is adjustable in 2 positions. That's on the high position now. It's at 8.64. And the riding he's done, he said he's had very good protection from the elements out there. The handguards are standard equipment on there. Adjustable levers and handguard, rotating handguards. Adjustable seat height, it's in the high position now, which I think is about 33 1/4. It takes about 15 seconds to switch that and pull the seat off, move a little bracket. Those of you that are FJR riders, it's the same system that adjusts the seat height. Just move that plastic bracket there through another set of holes and put the seat back on. And that drops it 1 inch, so you're down to 32 1/4.
Nobody's timing it, right?
purpose foot pegs. You can see they've got the rubber inserts in them. So when you're sitting down riding along, your feet are going to be dampened from what vibrations there are there by the rubber in those pegs. But then when you stand up riding, your weight is actually going to crush down through the rubber, and now you're going to be gripping on the metal part of the peg. So it's really versatile that way.
The first one of these that I did, there was a question about vibration, and I had to stop for a second and think about it, because I just got off the bike, ridden about 150 miles, I would imagine, and I had to stop and think about it because there is no vibration that's noticeable. Sometimes when you get off of a twin, you're all fuzzy and your hands are asleep, or your arms or your feet. I'm telling you, it's not on this bike. There is some vibration, but it is not noticeable. You have your feet on these foot pegs, that works as advertised. So it's just the way that, again, it's a complete package. And like I said, with a twin, sometimes you get that buzzy feeling. It does not exist with this bike.
You've got a DC outlet up on the right side, down from the meter, and side stand, center stand, you can work on. Some technological stuff, speedometer, tachometer, odometer, dual trip meters, clock, fuel gauge, fuel trip meter, average fuel consumption. Average fuel consumption, instant fuel consumption, has a coolant temp gauge, so that's going to give you the outside air temperature. And then you've got traction control setting indicator, and then your D mode or drive mode indicator, all on the meter. And we'll get into the traction control drive mode here as well.
Well, here's our matrix again. Go to the next slide. So here we're getting into the technological systems, and it's the Yamaha chip-controlled throttle, or fly-by-wire if you want, and it has a two-position D mode or drive mode, and that's on the handlebar on the right-hand side. That's either a sport mode or a touring mode. The best one to leave it on most of the time, unless you're doing some long-distance freeway, but most of the time you want to leave it on the sport mode. And then it has a three-position traction control. It's position 1, position 2, and off. Off, you can, it turns traction control off completely. Position 1 is full traction control, and position 2 is limited traction control. And then the unified and braking system and the anti-lock brake system.
The traction control, obviously you turn it off when you're on the gravel road, you don't light the tire and have fun spinning around and all, but the drive mode you can change on the fly. The traction control, you're probably going to have to come to a stop and have the engine running in neutral. So.
And then to turn the traction control off, you have to have it on the center stand. You hold the button, which is right here, hold that for 2 seconds, and that turns the traction control off.
And it controls that system by ignition timing and throttle position. So start backing things down, start sliding the tire, and it does it. And it uses the same sensors for the ABS system as it does for the traction control system. And drive mode again, you can change that on the fly when you're riding down the road. More stuff on the traction control. I can kind of explain how it works using the wheel sensors, but every 1/1000th of a second it monitors wheel speed, so it's, I mean, instantaneous. More stuff on the ABS and the unified brake system. So as far as accessories are available, now this bike, I mean, Warren brought it in, had the side cases on it, has the engine guard, the engine protector underneath, and then the, see, that's all the accessories you brought, right?
Yes.
Okay, so out of the box, it's going to come with the hand guards, the windshield, and as you see it there. So you've got the quick release mount system for the saddlebags. The left bag is 29 liters. right bag is 32 liters, the left one cut out for the exhaust. When you buy the bike, it comes with the lock sets for both saddlebags and the trunk. So that way you've got one key that controls all that stuff. And then if you buy the accessories, you just insert the lock mechanism into the bag. Good water resistance. Top case, 30 liters. Same type deal, it locks onto the bike so you can take it on and off. And
The bags are water resistant, they're not waterproof.
Yamaha doesn't recommend running the saddlebags and the tail trunk at the same time. The thought behind that is the same as what we recommend with the FJR. You load up the saddlebags, you load up the trunk, you put a passenger on the back, and now you've got too much weight bias on the back, and it's going to affect the way it handles. So that's our recommendation. And you can get liners for both the saddlebags and the tail trunk. And they've got shoulder straps on them, easily removable. And there's also a tank bag that is a magnet mount type. It has a shoulder strap. It also has a small, you can see the corner there, has a small bag that you can get your cell phone, wallet, GPS, whatever in it that attaches from the tank bag itself. Engine guard, steel, powder coated, easy to install, protects the engine in the event of a minor tip over. And the engine guard skid plate, 3 millimeter thick aluminum. If you put one of those on, obviously it's going to protect your engine cases and the oil filter on, but you will have to pull that off to oil filter. We have a polycarbonate headlight guard that mounts onto the front. Not recommended for off-road or for on-road use, and that's probably something to do with DOT. We have to stipulate it. Heated electric grips, genuine Yamaha parts, will be plug and play. It'll plug right into your existing wire harness, and it has a rheostat type that you mount on the analog control. Has an auto shutter function also. You forget to turn it off, and it won't drain your battery. An accessory seat, which brings the seat height down another 35 millimeters, and that's done by reducing some of the padding in it. So you're going to probably lose a little bit of comfort for the long distance rides with this seat. But for around town short ride, run this seat, and pull the socket back on. Also have a taller, wider windscreen that will be 3-position adjustable.
This is the stock windscreen, it's 2-position, and it's in the tall position.
And it is also